Hey everybody, it's Maggie from Personal Euphoria with today's plank story. If you do not want to do plank, then what I'm going to suggest today is a standing cat stretch. So you'll come to a standing position. This might be hard to see, but you're going to do a little squat and put your hands on your knees, and you're going to round your back and unwind. Round and unwind. You can do that. You can put your hands on the back of a chair, soften the knees, and round and unwind. Just a little spinal movement. My plank today is about hiking in the White Mountains. I went this weekend, did a very short hike, but I love it up there. The White Mountains are uniquely special because you get a lot of bang for your buck. It's very hard hiking. It is unforgiving. So it prepares you for anywhere else you want to go, right? Like the hike in the Grand Canyon is not a hard hike. The heat is the problem, but hiking in New Hampshire is much harder. Hiking Mount Kilimanjaro, it's not a hard hike, but the altitude makes it harder. So if you need to get in physical shape for hiking something, the White Mountains can help you. But you also break the tree line at like 4,000 feet, which is pretty atypical. Normally you have to get much higher to get above the tree line, and so then you're dealing with altitude. So you get these spectacular views. And some of the best views I've had include a few years ago for Columbus Day weekend, Matt and I did what's called the Bonds, and you hit 3 peaks, but you do it spending one night on the mountain, so over 2 days. So you hit a peak, you drop your pack, and you try to get to this other peak for sunset. And we were doing that, but it was like a misty day, our hike up, and cold, so it was creating this very thin sheet of ice on all the rocks. So in addition to being a challenging hike, you had to be so careful about your footing because it was very slippery, and it made the hike like stressful and not the most fun hike I've ever done. But what we got for that was when we're sitting on that mountaintop, as the sun was setting, in addition to the rocks having this layer of ice, so did all the evergreens, which were very tiny at the top of the mountain. They all had a coating of ice, and then each end of the branch had like a bead or a ball of ice. And as the sun set, when it got to a certain spot, it hit those beads of ice, and it just looked like, as far as you could see, all the evergreens got flicked on like a switch that turned on thousands of Christmas trees. And it would, like, it made the 10 people on this mountain gasp. There was an audible like, oh, because it was spectacular. If it lasted 2 minutes while the sun was at the right angle, it was a long time, but it was beautiful. We wouldn't have gotten that if we hadn't had to deal with the ice, right? And then last summer, I went hiking with a couple of friends up there, and we were doing a long hike. I think it was going to be 12 miles, and we took a wrong turn, which meant we had to do 3 additional miles. Now, 12 miles is a long hike up there anyway. 15 is extra long. So by the time we get to the top, we're already fatigued, and it's hard. And there were 60-mile-an-hour winds, which we were anticipating. We'd prepped for them. I had forgotten to pack a winter hat that weekend, but I noticed that before we left on the hike, so I threw a towel in my pack, so I was turbaning my hair. The wind kept knocking my turban off. I kept having to redo it. But hiking in wind like that, when you're exposed at the top, is also a little tense because you have to be careful. It's slow going. If there's a big gust, you have to have both feet on the ground, so you kind of like hike, brace, hike, brace. And so by the time we started coming down, we were all kind of commenting about how we had like 3 hours left to go and we were all spent. It was going to be a long hike out. And all of a sudden, there's this full rainbow, and there's scattered clouds. So you can see like the top of the rainbow and like the 2 bases, but not in the middle. And it was just incredible because the White Mountains give you these great views and these little special moments while you're out hiking. There's also a couple peaks in the White Mountains, and you can Google them if you're interested, where at the top these gray jays live. And so if you bring some little bits of bread and put your hand out, they will come and eat right out of your hand. So anyway, the whites have endless little special pieces of magic that pop up along the way. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep moving.